Have you ever been in a relationship where the attraction was powerful, the emotional pull was undeniable, the sexual magnetism was real, and yet something inside the bond always felt difficult to hold? Not because there was no love, not because there was no desire, not because the two people were meaningless to each other, but because one person carried the fire of emotional intensity while the other carried the need for emotional fullness. One person wanted truth that burns through illusion. The other wanted love that feels whole, peaceful, safe, and complete. This is the Chaturdashi Purnima intimacy pairing. And let me tell you directly, this is not an easy pairing. This is not a light romantic match. This is not the kind of connection where everything flows naturally without effort. This is a relationship where the emotional body of one partner may keep searching, probing, testing, transforming, questioning, while the other partner may keep trying to stabilize, soften, complete, and preserve peace. And that is where the beauty begins. But that is also where the pain begins. Because Chaturdashi and Purnima are not simply two lunar days. In intimacy, they become two emotional climates. Chaturdashi is intense, fierce, transformational, private, spiritually hungry, difficult to fully understand. It carries longing, emotional extremity, truth-seeking, and sometimes a strange comfort with loneliness. Purnima is full, aware, grounded, emotionally visible. It seeks completion, harmony, presence, and a relationship that feels emotionally safe enough to trust. So when Chaturdashi meets Purnima in intimate relationship, the question is not, is there attraction? There can absolutely be attraction. The real question is, can intensity and fullness live together without destroying each other? Because Chaturdashi often does not love softly in the beginning. Chaturdashi loves deeply, fiercely, sometimes defensively. It wants to know what is hidden. It wants to feel the real pulse of the other person. It is not satisfied with polite affection, surface-level romance, or emotionally decorative words. Chaturdashi wants to know, are you real? Are you loyal? Are you hiding something? Are you with me only when it is pleasant, or can you stand beside me when I enter my darker emotional chambers? Purnima, on the other hand, wants the relationship to feel whole. It wants emotional generosity. It wants trust. It wants enough clarity to relax. It may not fear depth, but it does not want depth to become constant emotional battle. Purnima wants to know, can I be safe with you? Can I be loved without being investigated? Can I shine without being pulled into crisis? Can my softness be respected instead of treated as weakness? This is where the first fracture begins. Chaturdashi may feel that Purnima is too calm, too pleasant, too unwilling to enter the difficult truth. Purnima may feel that Chaturdashi is too intense, too suspicious, too hard to emotionally satisfy. And if both are immature, this pairing becomes exhausting. Because Chaturdashi may test love to feel safe, but Purnima needs safety to keep loving openly. Think about that. One partner says, prove to me that you are real. The other says, let me feel safe, and I will show you my real heart. One partner increases intensity when insecure. The other reduces emotional access when overwhelmed. Then Chaturdashi feels abandoned. Purnima feels pressured. Chaturdashi pushes harder. Purnima withdraws further. And soon the relationship becomes a cycle of emotional pursuit and emotional retreat. This is why many Chaturdashi Purnima relationships can feel karmic, magnetic, unforgettable, but also heavy. The connection may begin with fascination. Purnima may look at Chaturdashi and feel, there is something deep here, something mysterious, something powerful. This person does not live on the surface. Chaturdashi may look at Purnima and feel, there is something whole here, something luminous, something calming. This person carries the kind of peace I have been searching for. But attraction is not compatibility. Magnetism is not maturity. Sexual pull is not emotional safety. And that is the truth many couples do not want to hear. In this pairing, the intellectual incompatibility can be subtle but sharp. Chaturdashi thinks in symbols, shadows, motives, hidden meanings, and deeper psychological currents. It may ask, what is really going on beneath this behavior? Purnima thinks more holistically. It wants the whole picture. It may be practical, aware, and emotionally observant, but it often prefers coherence over chaos. So when conflict arises, Chaturdashi may become investigative. Purnima may become explanatory. Chaturdashi says, you are avoiding the real issue. Purnima says, no, you are making the issue more intense than it needs to be. Chaturdashi says, I can feel something is hidden. Purnima says, "You are projecting your fear onto me." And now the relationship is no longer a conversation. It becomes a court case. One becomes the examiner, the other becomes the defended. And love cannot breathe where one person is always interrogating and the other is always justifying. This is the intellectual challenge of this pairing. Chaturdashi can mistake suspicion for intuition. Purnima can mistake calmness for truth. Chaturdashi can become too sharp. Purnima can become too self-certain. Chaturdashi may say, "I am only being honest," but honesty without tenderness becomes violence. Purnima may say, "I only want peace," but peace without truth becomes avoidance. And when these two shadows meet, the relationship becomes emotionally confusing, because both may believe they are the more evolved one. Chaturdashi believes, "I am willing to face the darkness." Purnima believes, "I am trying to protect the harmony." Both are partly right. Both are partly blind. The emotional incompatibility is even deeper. Chaturdashi carries a Richta-like emotional signature, a sense of hunger, incompletion, intensity, or longing for something beyond ordinary satisfaction. It may feel that love must transform something. It must reveal something. It must take both people beyond normal comfort. Purnima carries a Purna-like emotional signature, fullness, completion, emotional presence, and the desire for relational wholeness. So one partner may carry an inner emptiness that seeks transformation. The other may carry fullness that seeks expression and peace. Now listen carefully. This can become beautiful because Purnima can offer Chaturdashi emotional soothing, stability, and a sense that love does not always have to hurt. And Chaturdashi can offer Purnima depth, spiritual courage, and the ability to face the parts of life and love that most people avoid. But when immature, this becomes imbalanced. Chaturdashi may unconsciously pull from Purnima's fullness. Purnima may start feeling drained, emotionally consumed, or responsible for stabilizing the entire relationship. Chaturdashi may feel, "Why can't you meet me in my depth?" Purnima may feel, "Why is my love never enough?" That sentence is dangerous in this pairing. Why is my love never enough? Because Purnima naturally gives fullness, but Chaturdashi may not always know how to receive fullness. It may look for the missing piece even when love is present. It may keep scanning for danger, betrayal, inconsistency, or spiritual emptiness. So Purnima gives. Chaturdashi questions. Purnima reassures. Chaturdashi doubts. Purnima explains. Chaturdashi probes. Purnima finally withdraws. Then Chaturdashi says, "See, I knew you would leave emotionally." This is how the wound proves itself, not because it was always true, but because the pattern created the outcome. For those who are single, understand this deeply. If you carry Chaturdashi energy, do not confuse someone's calm love with emotional shallowness. Some people do not need crisis to prove depth. And if you carry Purnima energy, do not confuse someone's intensity with true intimacy. Some people are intense because they are wounded, not because they are ready. For those who are divorced or healing from breakup, this may explain why a relationship felt impossible even though the connection felt significant. You may have loved each other, but your emotional bodies were speaking different languages. One language was "go deeper." The other language was "let us become whole." And both languages are sacred. But without translation, they become pain. Now let us talk about sexual incompatibility. Because in Chaturdashi Purnima, sexual attraction can be powerful. Chaturdashi brings heat, hunger, intensity, desire for merging, and sometimes a need for sex to feel psychologically meaningful. It may not want intimacy that is only physical. It may want surrender. It may want proof. It may want transformation. It may want the body to reveal what the mouth is hiding. Purnima brings fullness, sensual receptivity, warmth, and emotional completion. Purnima may open beautifully when there is trust, affection, consistency, and tenderness. So the sexual chemistry can be real, but the rhythm may not be simple. Chaturdashi may want intensity before safety is fully built. Purnima may need safety before intensity feels welcome. Chaturdashi may use sexuality to break emotional walls. Purnima may need emotional relaxation before the body opens. Chaturdashi may feel rejected if Purnima does not respond with equal fire. Purnima may feel pressured if Chaturdashi turns sexual intimacy into a test of devotion. And this is where many couples get confused. They think the problem is libido. It is not always libido. Sometimes the problem is emotional atmosphere. Purnima may not be refusing intimacy. Purnima may be refusing pressure. Chaturdashi may not only be seeking sex, Chaturdashi may be seeking reassurance through the body. And when these needs are not named, the bedroom becomes a silent battlefield. One partner feels unwanted, the other feels unsafe. One partner feels starved, the other feels overwhelmed. One partner reaches intensely, the other protects themselves. This is not solved by technique. This is solved by emotional maturity. Because Chaturdashi must learn that desire cannot be used as an interrogation, and Purnima must learn that withholding warmth without explanation can feel like abandonment to an intense partner. Sexual healing in this pairing begins outside the bedroom. It begins with how you speak after conflict. It begins with whether emotional truth can be shared without punishment. It begins with whether both people feel chosen, not consumed. It begins with tenderness before intensity. It begins with safety before surrender. Now, can this pairing work? Yes, but not through fantasy, not through we are karmically connected, not through our attraction is too strong to fail, not through spiritual romanticism. This pairing works only when both people grow up emotionally. Chaturdashi must mature its intensity into protection. That means Chaturdashi must stop using sharpness as proof of depth. It must stop testing loyalty through crisis. It must stop assuming that if something feels threatening, it must be true. It must learn to say, I feel afraid, instead of you are hiding something. It must learn to say, I need reassurance, instead of creating conflict to see whether the other person stays. It must learn to say, I want emotional depth, instead of accusing the other person of being shallow. Because when Chaturdashi becomes accountable, its intensity becomes sacred. It becomes devotion. It becomes fierce loyalty. It becomes the power to protect the relationship from lies, stagnation, and emotional deadness. But when Chaturdashi is immature, it becomes suspicion, control, emotional pressure, jealousy, and harshness. Purnima must mature its harmony into honest presence. That means Purnima must stop hiding behind calmness. It must stop saying everything is fine when something is not fine. It must stop preserving peace at the cost of emotional truth. It must learn to say, I need gentleness, but I am willing to talk. It must learn to say, I love you, but I will not be emotionally cornered. It must learn to say, I want closeness, but I need respect in the way we enter difficult conversations. Because when Purnima becomes honest, its fullness becomes healing. It becomes warmth with boundaries. It becomes peace with truth. It becomes love that can hold intensity without being swallowed by it. But when Purnima is immature, it becomes avoidance, emotional superiority, passive withdrawal, and quiet judgment. This pairing also needs lifestyle wisdom. A Chaturdashi Purnima couple cannot live in constant chaos and expect intimacy to remain healthy. They need a calmer home. They need private emotional space. They need routines that regulate the nervous system. They need meaningful spiritual or reflective practices. They need nature, silence, ritual, art, music, prayer, meditation, or some form of sacred pause. They need to avoid unnecessary social drama because Chaturdashi can become reactive and Purnima can become emotionally saturated. They need clean boundaries with family interference. They need clarity around money, time, sexuality, and personal freedom. They need a lifestyle where depth and peace both have a place. Because Chaturdashi cannot be asked to become emotionally shallow, and Purnima cannot be asked to live in permanent emotional storm. The relationship works when Chaturdashi has transformation without chaos, and Purnima has peace without denial. That is the balance. For couples, this pairing asks you one direct question. Are you using love to heal each other, or are you using love to repeat your wounds? For singles, this pairing teaches you not to be fooled by intensity alone. A person can feel deep and still be emotionally unsafe. A person can feel peaceful and still be emotionally avoidant. For those healing after breakup, this pairing reminds you that some relationships do not end because there was no love. Some relationships end because the emotional bodies could not regulate each other. One needed depth through intensity. The other needed love through safety. Neither need was wrong, but the bridge was missing. And for those recently divorced, this is important. Stop measuring the relationship only by how powerful it felt. Measure it by whether it allowed both people to become more whole. Because love that constantly destabilizes you is not automatically spiritual, and peace that constantly avoids truth is not automatically mature. In its highest form, Chaturdashi Purnima can become a rare spiritual intimacy. Chaturdashi teaches Purnima, do not be afraid of the shadow, love must be truthful. Purnima teaches Chaturdashi, do not worship the storm, truth must be compassionate. Chaturdashi brings the courage to face what is hidden. Purnima brings the grace to hold what is revealed. Chaturdashi burns illusion. Purnima restores wholeness. Chaturdashi says, let us not live falsely. Purnima says, let us not destroy love in the name of truth. And when both are mature, this relationship can become deeply healing. Not easy, not casual, not light, but meaningful, transformational, emotionally honest, sexually sacred, spiritually intimate. But when immature, it becomes draining, suspicious, heavy, inconsistent, and emotionally unsafe. So the final truth is this. Chaturdashi Purnima is not a naturally high comfort match. It is a high growth match. It does not reward childish love. It does not reward emotional games. It does not reward silent withdrawal. It does not reward harsh honesty. It does not reward sexual pressure. It does not reward spiritual ego. It rewards maturity. It rewards self-awareness. It rewards tenderness. It rewards emotional discipline. It rewards the courage to tell the truth without cruelty and the strength to preserve peace without lying. So if you are in this pairing, ask yourself, can I love this person without trying to control their emotional rhythm? Can I speak my truth without turning it into a weapon? Can I desire this person without demanding proof through the body? Can I offer peace without disappearing from difficult conversations? Can I hold intensity without becoming destructive? Can I hold fullness without becoming avoidant? Because that is where this pairing either breaks or becomes sacred. And if you want to understand your own Tithi, your partner's Tithi, and the deeper emotional body compatibility between both of you, this is where a deeper intimacy reading can change everything. Because sometimes you are not fighting because love is absent. Sometimes you are fighting because your emotional bodies are built differently. Sometimes your sexual disconnect is not just physical. Sometimes your intellectual conflict is not just communication. Sometimes your emotional pain is not random. It has a pattern. It has a lunar signature. It has a rhythm. And when you understand that rhythm, you stop blaming blindly. You start seeing clearly. So if this Chaturdashi Purnima dynamic speaks to your relationship, your breakup, your marriage, your longing, or your confusion, then go deeper. Book an intimacy reading or compatibility reading with me. Let us look at what your emotional body is actually asking for. Let us understand why you attract certain people, why certain bonds hurt, why some relationships feel karmic, and why intimacy becomes easy with some people and impossible with others. Because the right relationship is not only about love, it is about emotional rhythm. It is about maturity. It is about the body feeling safe, the mind feeling understood, the heart feeling received, and the soul feeling respected. And in Chaturdashi Purnima, that is the real test. Can fire and fullness become one sacred flame, or will one burn while the other fades? That answer depends on awareness. That answer depends on maturity. And that answer begins when you stop asking, why is this relationship so intense? And start asking, what is this intensity trying to teach me about love?